I wish it wasn't, but unfortunately, it is true. Disney announced that Disney's Magical Express will no longer be an option for guests starting in 2022 to get to and from the Orlando International Airport, and Disney announced that extra magic hours are officially a thing of the past. How do I feel about this? What do we think is next? There's a lot to talk about in this video, so let's jump right in. Since 2005, Magical Express has been an integral part of the Disney experience. I know it is for me, and it certainly is for Alex, and I'm sure it is for many of you guys as well. That was the first dose of Disney that you get after you got off of your flight. You grabbed your bags, you headed over to Magical Express. That was your first interaction with cast members, welcoming you to Florida, welcoming you to Walt Disney World. Then you got on the bus, painted with the Disney characters most of the time. I know there's some yellow buses and Disney Cruise Line buses, but that's besides the point. You got on the bus, you watched that fun video, the Disney cartoons, and you were kind of immersed in Disney from the second you got off the plane, basically. So that is now gone. So it's a sad day. I love Disney's Magical Express. I think it's a big, big loss for Disney. I think it's a big loss for the perks of staying at a Walt Disney World Resort hotel. That was always one of the biggest selling points, that you have complimentary service that takes you to and from the airport, handles your luggage for you, so you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about hailing a cab, paying for the cab, carrying your own bags. It was all taken care of for you. And now, starting on January 1st, 2022, that is officially over and done with. Disney put out a statement saying vacationers have more options to choose from than ever for transportation, including rideshare services that save time and offer more flexibility to go where they want, when they want. In light of the shift, when Disney Resort Hotel bookings opens for stays in 2022, we will no longer offer Disney's Magical Express service for airport transportation, starting with arrivals on January 1st, 2022. So if you have a trip to Walt Disney World in 2022 or later, just something to keep in mind, that there will be no Disney operated buses that take you to and from the airport. However, MEERS Transportation, which is the company that Disney partnered with for many years to operate those buses, they're the ones that actually are the bus drivers. They're the company, the bus company. They put out a statement after Disney put out their statement saying that we understand there's a lot of people that need to get around to the theme parks. We will continue to operate bus service at a charge from the airport. So bus service isn't totally going away. However, it'll no longer be operated by Disney, and it will no longer be complimentary. One of the biggest takeaways that I have from this, and in speaking with Alex, she feels the same way. She's a travel agent, and they always try to sell people to stay on property. You get those extra magic hours, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that are no longer a thing. You get the complimentary bus service from Orlando International to Disney and vice versa. No longer a thing. So now, is the draw of staying at a Disney resort gone? Is Disney going to have to compete a little bit more with some of the good neighbor hotels, some of the surrounding area hotels, or is it going to be business as usual? That we have yet to see, but I do know that the perks of staying on Disney property are diminishing. Now, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't stay on Disney property, because every time Alex and I go, we are going to stay on Disney property, but you can really ask yourself, I can save money on the cost of the room. I can still get the bus service to and from the parks and Disney Springs while staying at some of these other resorts. And that money that I save on the room, I could put towards either taking that MEERS shuttle that's going to be available, taking Uber or a Lyft, and possibly save even a little bit more money at the end of the day. So that's something to consider too. So definitely a big question that Disney's going to have to answer is, how do they stack up now against some of the other areas? Of course, staying at the Polynesian for the theming and all that is great, and the cast members are amazing. And like I said, we're going to stay on Disney property. But for someone that might be watching their budget very tightly, trying to save money here and there, this is now a question that you're going to have to ask yourself. Is it even worth it to stay on property? We're not getting real extra magic hours anymore. We're not getting the bus service. So what are we getting for all this money? It's a good question. Now, regarding that MEERS Transportation Company statement that they put out, they said that Walt Disney World made us aware of their decision. While we were disappointed Disney will no longer offer this service, we intend to continue offering transportation services between the airport and all area theme parks and hotels to meet the demand of our visitors now and in the future. So the question is going to be, how do I get to my resort? Obviously, you have Ubers, taxis, Lyft, cabs, whatever you want to call it, rideshare services. Those are plentiful, and you can find those, basically anytime that you want. So that's option number one. Option number two, and this is the one that I'm a little bit more interested in, is supposedly that bullet train is going to be coming to the airport and going to Disney Springs. So that is going to be an interesting thing. Are guests going to get on the train at the airport, go to Disney Springs, and then get to their resort from there? That's an option. But the thing that's interesting with that is, are all these people going to be lugging their luggage now to Disney Springs? That's the only question that I have with that is, yes, they have the transportation that will take you to Disney Springs through that train that's supposedly coming in the near future, but now what? So you get to Disney Springs, are you going to take the resort bus services, lugging your luggage on, mixed with guests that are just regular guests at Disney Springs? It could be a messy situation, and I know that's not going to be an ideal situation for many, especially if you're a family, you have kids with you, you have multiple bags of luggage. I don't think you're necessarily going to want to take a train to Disney Springs, wait for a bus, get on a bus with all those people, and then go to your resort. It just seems like an odd way to get around. So I don't necessarily know if many people are going to do that. If it's a free option, maybe some people would, but that's a big question mark that I have too regarding all this. And the second big piece of news that came out is that extra magic hours, as we know it, will no longer be an offering at Walt Disney World. A perk that would allow you to get into the parks earlier or stay later. Sometimes, an hour, sometimes 2 hours after the park closes. Depends on the day and the time of year. But it was a huge perk for staying on property. On days that, Magic Kingdom would close at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, sometimes they would stay open until 12, 1 o'clock with those magic hours. So it was a huge deal. And I'm certainly going to miss those days, especially the nighttime ones. The morning ones I never really took advantage of. I know many have, obviously, but the night ones were always my favorite, where you can stay in the park a little bit later. Now, a thing of the past, and those are gone as well. This new service is now called Resort Guest Early Entry. There is no official date as to when this will be starting, but it is a part of the 50th anniversary year, that we do know. And instead of having the extra magic hours, depending on the day, now you will be able to get into any Walt Disney World theme park 30 minutes prior to the schedule open every single day of the year. All 4 parks will have it. It will be available every single day as soon as it starts up, and that is the new offering. So no more nighttime extra magic hours, no more, extended morning extra magic hours. So now you're going down to just 30 minutes. Extra magic hours was always at minimum 1 hour, and now it's being shrunk down to 30 minutes. That's another bummer in my opinion. So that's something that I'm definitely gonna miss as well. Like I said, the nighttime one was one that I took more advantage of than the early morning ones, but to go from at minimum an hour now down to just 30 minutes isn't really that huge of a deal. Yes, you can get in earlier than the average crowd, but in that 30 minutes, what are you really going to accomplish that you necessarily couldn't do if you got there for rope drop? Now, if you want to ride Flight of Passage, if you want to ride Mine Train, if you want to get on Smuggler's Run, some of the big e-ticket attractions, yes, you'll have an easier time doing it. Do I think it's necessarily going to be a huge difference versus if the park opened at 9 and you got there, right at 9 or 8:45 and then got in and went immediately there? Not really. Again, that's just my opinion. But the 30-minute entry time that they have now, that's going to be at the start of each day, kind of is a bummer. It doesn't stack up. I'm just being honest. It doesn't stack up compared to what the extra magic hour offerings were in the past, and to me, it's a step down. Now, I said it before, and I'll say it again, the pandemic has hit Disney in a lot of different ways. It's affected a lot of companies, but these 2 specific offerings were huge drivers in terms of getting people to stay on property. Disney always pushed Magical Express, extra magic hours as like 2 of the biggest reasons why you should stay at a Disney World resort. I know travel agents did the same. Alex does it with all of her clients. So it'll be interesting to see if some people maybe second guess that now. Maybe they'll stay at the Hilton for $200 less per night than staying at a Disney resort and still have that shuttle service and all that. Obviously, the Disney magic is a big part of why people stay on property. I totally understand that. I'm in that boat. But it'll be interesting to see how things play out in the future with these 2 decisions. So before we wrap up the video, I did want to give you an Alex update. If you guys didn't know, Just about 2 weeks ago, Alex came down with COVID. She is on, I believe, day 12 now, 11 or 12, and she's doing great. She's basically 100% recovered. So again, thank you to everybody who reached out, sent messages. She saw them all. She replied to all the ones that she could. And she'll be back soon. So this will probably be one of the last videos that you just see me in it for a little while, and she'll be back before you know it. So again, thanks for the well wishes. If you guys are new here, make sure you hit that red subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any of our videos to come in the future. Give this video a nice big thumbs up. It really does help out the videos, and it helps out our channel in a huge way. And as always, we'll see you guys real soon.